Hey everybody, how you doing? Hope everybody's doing well. This is going to be a kind of a different video for me anyway. So what we're going to see today is a radio that my electronics mentor, my very first electronics mentor, tried to work on, couldn't get it working, and also said that would be his last YouTube video. I've been watching John from Arkansas, I don't know how many years now, maybe 10. He was the very first radio restorer that I found on YouTube. I'll show you the video that I saw, the first one, and then I'll show you what I did after I saw that video. Anyway, John was working on this Model 23 Emerson radio, couldn't get it working. It had a lot of problems. It's basically a junker, right? But you know, we don't do this. We do this because we want to try to get things working again. And it had a problem with the transformer. It didn't have a high voltage side that was broken. So John created his own voltage divider and high voltage, and just couldn't get the radio working. Put up his video and said, "This is my last video. You know, the YouTube is not what it used to be," and I agree with him. I wrote him afterwards and said, "Hey, if you don't mind, being that you taught me everything that you know about radios, why don't you let me try to fix it, and we'll see if I was a good student." So John, being who he is, great guy, sent it to me, and I've gotten the radio. And I'm going to show you how I got it working. I did replace the transformer, but the transformer I have didn't have the 5-volt winding for the rectifier. So I created a solid state rectifier, and I'll show you how we did that, and then I'll show you the radio working. So this is a little bit of a thank you to John, and I want to thank him for all of his mentorship over the years. John and Brendan. Brendan is my other mentor. But John has written me many times with help and questions and suggestions and things like that. So he's been amazing. So I'm honored to be friends with John. I'm honored to be friends with Brendan. While I'm sad John's not going to make more videos, I can understand what he's talking about. So John, this is for you. Let's get this Emerson thing working. What do you think? Oh, by the way, I don't think Buzz was in there. We'll figure that out. All right, here we go.
Well, hello again. I'm sad to report that this radio still has not been successful. I don't know. Somebody repaired it in the past and probably screwed something up. I don't know. I've tried everything. I've done everything. The only thing I haven't done is remove the antenna coil, the primary and the secondary, which would be this thing right here. Now, in the center of the coil is this little 450 kilocycle trap, and I'll show it to you. It's that little, see if I can zoom in on that thing. See that little coil of wire down in there? There we go. It's that thing right there. They mounted in the center. It's got a couple of wires coming out of it. One goes to ground, which would be this one right here. And the other one goes over and connects to the antenna wire, which is right here, coming in from the volume control. That's that red wire right there. Being a 1,000 kilocycle signal into the radio, getting ready to tune it. All right, I've got it set to 456. Nothing. Well, I've got good tone. Unfortunately, I can't control it from the volume. I guess that's the way it's supposed to be in this kind of radio. I don't know, being up the front like that. So, I mean, it doesn't do anything, really. Messes stuff up a little. Anyway, I maxed it out. That's about as high as she's going to get.
This is a public service announcement. This is a public service announcement.
Well, I want you all to know that I've decided to retire from YouTube. I'm not going to make any more videos. This is the last one. And there's 3 reasons for it. One, the average amount, we have, 8,100 subscribers, and only about 5% are watching the videos. 5% is nothing. And of that 5%, only 3 to 4% of those leave a comment, okay? You know, which is part of being a YouTube subscriber. You don't just watch videos and just blow on to the next one if you're a subscriber. But anyway, those two numbers put together tells me that it's over for me. Radio that weighs 40 pounds. It cost $88 and it was manufactured in 1927. It came without a speaker and it came without tubes. Back in those days you had to buy your tubes separately. It's an Atwater Kent Model 37 and it is an AC radio. You plug it into the wall. That speaker is a Rolla speaker manufactured about 1927, 1928 also. And you'll notice that the Rolla speaker is sitting on top of the radio kind of crooked-like. And there's a reason for that. And you're about to hear all about it. Greetings once again from the corner on the deck. I've got a good story for you today. It involves, as you know, this 1927 Atwater Kent Model 37. About 2 months ago, my son contacted me, and he said he had watched a TV show. I think it's called American Restorations or something like that. I don't watch much TV, so I don't know any of the shows today. And he said that a customer brought in an Atwater Kent Model 37 and asked the guy on the show who has the restoration shop to restore the radio for him. And this is what the Model 37 looked like that the fella brought in. It came in two different colors. A lot of people thought that was some custom job done by an owner, or had it done especially, and that's not true.
Connected, so no antenna, just going to plug it in, turn it on, and you'll see those tubes start to glow. There we go. Let's see what we get. Now I haven't done an alignment or anything on this. My objective was to get it working. I hear zip coming out of this thing. Get a little bit of noise. So this thing clearly needs an antenna.
A whole season with this, right? I think you get a whole
There you
season
go.
with this. You are able to get some shooters out there, some big.
Let's connect our antenna to the antenna wire. Okay, our antenna wire is connected.
Nobody's really probably beating that team right now in the West, especially with the teams that have broken through. I think if you look at this Warriors team, they have the makings to make one or two more good playoff runs, no matter what happens tonight.
Okay.
I'm thinking you're going to need multiple biggies from.
So she's working. Now the problem with this kind of radio is that the antenna is connected to the volume control, and the original volume pot is not here. Obviously, John replaced it with a power switch / potentiometer. I think this one probably needs to have a linear pot instead of a. I'm not sure. I have to see what kind of pot this is, and maybe it's fine. I don't know, but it appears like the volume control really has no bearing. It doesn't control the radio very well. Very common with these antenna sets from what I've learned. So anyway, you've seen the radio work. Let's go into some detail about how we got the rectifier situation controlled. Remember, this transformer did not have a 5-volt winding. All right, let's take a look at that. Okay, so looking at this radio, it originally had an 80 rectifier tube in there. So that's the first piece of information we need to create a solid state rectifier. So what you do is you get the tube data, and here it is. This is a Tungsol double diode 80, and there's two key pieces of information you need to look at here. You need to look at the DC output current, which is 125 milliamps, and you need to look at the, let me get my bearings here. You need to look at the 2 voltage drop right here, and here it's 60 volts. So you take your 60 volts and you take your 125 milliamps and you plug them into an Ohm's law calculator, and I'll show you what that looks like. Here it comes. Alright, so here's the Ohm's law calculator. So voltage was 60, if you recall, and the current is 125 milliamps right here. And when you click calculate, here's the resistance, 480. So those are the resistors we need on each plate. So it's that simple, okay? Alright guys, so that's the story. So again, I want to thank John for all he's taught me over the years, and he's gotten me into a hobby that I really enjoy, and I'm glad I was able to get this working, just to prove that I've been paying attention all these years. So so anyway, John, thank you, and I know you're not going to be too far away. You'll still be commenting and watching. You're just not going to be creating, and who knows, maybe you'll put a video up of Perline, because I'm wondering how that car's doing. I haven't seen it in a while. Anyway, you guys have a good day, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.